Hello and welcome to the next part of the Let's Play of Dragonball Z Legendary Super Warriors. And now I'm on to story battle number 7, which is Goku and Gohan versus Jace and Berta. Well, Jace and Berta are known as the Red and Blue Demons. That is to say, one of them is red and one of them is blue. Berta's main strength is his speed. He can use the speed up card to increase his stats, and he can also put extra stat points on his speed stat, making him exceptionally good at avoiding things, such as beams or other attacks. And Jace primarily uses beam attacks. Jace's signature move is called the Crusher Ball, also known as the Crusher Ball. Berta's main technique is the Mac attack, where he dashes quickly and attacks the enemy. Known in Budokai Tenkaichi 3 as the Super Mac attack. Jace and Berta can also use a double move called Purple Comet. Purple Comet is the beam version, and P Comet Z is the attack which costs more, and it is a damage attack, although it functions like a beam, so basically Shockwave doesn't work, but avoiding does. Similar to Rocket Punch that 16 uses. So it's similar to Boo's move called Potbelly Attack. So here we are in the first tag team match. In these matches you're able to swap characters in your attack turn, and you're also able to perform certain tag moves, for example the Ultra Kamehameha, the Volleyball, or the Purple Comet abilities. You can share decks, so that if you have the Destructo Disc in your deck, then if you have, for example, Vegeta and Krillin, they will both be able to use the Destructo Beam cards. You can also do this with the Finger Beam for Cell and Frieza, along with the moves for Cell and Cell Jr. You can also expand this to other characters, such as the androids that share a lot of moves, or the Z Warriors that most of them tend to use Kamehameha, although for example you won't be able to put Vegeta and Vegeta on the same team. Or for example moves like Masenko for Piccolo and Gohan, or moves like Continuous Kick and Energy Wave, which anyone can use. So I'm using Goku's signature move, which is Solid Shot, which is a melee attack. Costs an average number of CC and does a fair bit of damage as well, and can be used in all of Goku's forms. Some interesting facts about Jace. Jace is classified as an alien humanoid, and his name means juice. He's the second in command of the Ginyu Force, and he's also the last Ginyu Force member to be dispatched by Vegeta. Vegeta's a lot more bloodthirsty than the Z Warriors, so he tends to do a lot of the killing and maiming of enemies. Youch. Jace also makes a cameo appearance in the film Dragon Ball Z Fusion Reborn, along with a few other characters. Since all the villains break out of hell, they go on a rampage, and most of them get their butt kicked by the heroes. Hooray! He appears in many of the games, such as the second NES game, also Legendary Super Saiyan on the SNES. There's Goku Gekitoden on the Game Boy, and he also appears in other games such as Sagas, Super Sonic Warriors, as part of Ginyu's attacks, and he's also present in the Budokai Tenkaichi series, as well as Raging Blast, Ultimate Butoden, Ultimate Tenkaichi, and Dragon Ball Heroes. He closely resembles a member of King Cold's crew, and he also bears some similarities to Sorza as well, who's believed to be of the same race. Jace is one of the most cockiest members of the Ginyu Force team, and he also has a strong Australian accent. This is also lampshaded in the Team 4-star videos where they make references to Space Australia and other objects where they just insert the word space in front of it. Jace's hair length is quite long, especially regarding Yamcha in the Saiyan saga. Some of the longest hair in Dragon Ball Z, in comparison with Dr. Gyro and Raditz as well. It's funny how besides Bojack, most of the villains tend to have short hair. And of course, the Namek saga was one of my favourite arcs due to how many characters there were and the variety. And in fact, when you play the villain mode of Legendary Super Warriors, when you unlock the villain characters, you'll actually unlock most of them during the Ginyu saga, since most of the characters only appear once and don't have any alternative forms. At this point in the battle, I lose Goku, so I must switch to Gohan. If you lose your first character, then you absolutely have to swap to your second character. And another thing to note is you also share the same deck. You are more likely to run out of cards than if you're playing on the 1 versus 1 battles, since both characters try and use as many cards as they can. When you run out of cards, your only options are to use Stage Attack, your limited attacks, and the 3-stage attack, which is your default move. And we all know how much I hate the dreaded 3-stage attack, so please don't resort to using that. I would recommend you put energy cards on your limits so that you've always got something to use should you run out of normal cards. So you can always put Energy Wave or Continuous Kick on your limit cards, so then you're always able to use those if you charge up. I do tend to play as Goku and Gohan quite a lot in the Dragon Ball Z games. I typically enjoy the villains a bit more than the heroes. I like that Goku has a lot of different costumes in many of the games. For instance, in the Budokai Tenkaichi series. I quite like base Goku's Kaioken move in Budokai Tenkaichi because he does a fly move where he jumps in the air, activates the Kaioken, flies around the opponent and hits them. It's quite a clever move. I also like a lot of other animations in that game, such as Goku's Meteor attack or some of the other melee moves, such as the ones used by the androids or the ones used by Saiyans such as Nappa and Raditz. So at this point I use Gohan's Masenko attack, an attack that Gohan learned from Piccolo. And that's killed Jace. So now the AI has to swap to their second character, which is Berta. Berta is the proclaimed fastest member of the Ginyu Force and the fastest in the universe. Berta's name means butter, and he is also one of the favourite characters of my co-admin Kevtrev. So what can we say about Berta? Well, he's quite tall. In fact, one of the tallest members of the Dragon Ball Z franchise, particularly in regard to the villains being fairly tall, especially in comparison with Demon King Piccolo, King Cold, and other various characters. Although sometimes he's shown to be not as tall, sometimes depending on the material and whether it's filler or not. One thing to note is that these tag team battles take a crazy amount of time to do, so definitely worth saving beforehand, and don't play if you're in a bit of a hurry, because these will take a while, especially if you lose. I should also note that all Ginyu Force members have a small insignia on their chest, which signifies that they're part of the Ginyu Force, and not just Frieza's army. And he also wears a scouter as well. Scouters come in green, blue, pink, red, and a few other colours, but not black. He usually proclaims himself to be the Azure Typhoon, or Blue Hurricane. And even though he says he's the fastest in the universe, Frieza's probably faster than him, and Guldo can stop time, so he's technically faster. At one point he takes to the air and gets the Dragon Ball before Vegeta and Krillin can destroy the Dragon Ball, which I think is pretty cool. He's definitely one of my favourite villains, although it's a shame he gets beaten quite easily by Goku. Goku-sama, or Son Goku. The funny thing about Berta is that he has no pupils, he just has red eyes. And that's probably not from watching too much TV. Or watching too many 3D previews of The Hobbit. Interestingly, the characters in Dragon Ball Z can use the Scouters to communicate from long distances, such as when Raditz lets the other Saiyans know of his defeat. And they can also use this to plan attacks together. And Berta also comes back when the Ginyu Force arrive on King Kai's planet, and he gets beaten by Tien and dispatched into the Blood River. He also tries to escape from Hell, but he doesn't make it out. Interesting how the dub decides to rename Hell into the Home for Infinite Losers, although it's probably just an easier way to censor the Hell t-shirts. Some of Berta's techniques in this series include a Blue Hurricane, Purple Comet, High Speed Rush, Mac Kick, Mac Attack, and he appears in pretty much the same games that Jace appears in. I can't remember if he appears in the Dragon Ball Z game called Ultimate Battle 22, but I think he might do. And he also appears in an arcade game with Ginyu. Nobody seems to play the Dragon Ball Z arcade games much, although a lot's been said about Heroes. In one of the episodes on Grand Kai's planet, there's a character that looks strikingly similar to Berta, so it could well be of the same race. And Berta's death also seems quite similar to Nappa's in the way that Goku defeats them with Kaioken and Vegeta kills them both. An interesting fact is that Berta can deal out the longest combo in Budokai Tenkaichi 2 if he's given max power plus and has his speed maxed out. That's according to the Dragon Ball Wikia.com, which is well worth a visit. So if you ever need to learn more about a Dragon Ball Z character, simply type in their name and the word Wikia. That's W-I-K-I-A. And then you will usually find a really good source of information about the character. And you'll find tons of trivia, and it's well worth it, especially if you look for games, movies, TV episodes. And this is turning out to be quite a hard mission. The question is, will I win? The answer is maybe. Incidentally, my record in battle mode is definitely not perfect. I do tend to lose quite a lot of the time, especially if I'm up against really strong opponents. But then the AI is always cheap and cheesy as well, using the most annoying cards and breaking through your defenses. I personally find Berta quite a fun character to use in battle mode, since he primarily uses melee attacks and his attacks don't cost much CC, so it's quite good to use against enemies. Sadly, at this point of the video recording equipment failed, and so I have to skip to a scene where I win the battle. So apologies for that. I'm going to work extra hard to make sure this doesn't happen in the future. Fingers crossed. So in this part of the battle, I've managed to win. So let's see what cards become more available. Right, here is Crusher Ball, which is Jace's signature move. CC cost 19, power 25. Quite a common attack, and it's a beam. And there's also Trunks' sword, but I will probably cover that in more detail later. But basically, it increases your strength for a cost of 4cc. So I'll get this. Continuing with the story, Raccoon's defeated, and so is Berta. And Jace is injured, and Goku wants him to give up and leave the planet, but Jace can't believe it. How can they lose to someone so weak? So Jace flies off, and in the meantime, Goku and the others have a little bit of a reminisce and talk, but Vegeta disrupts things by blowing up the remaining Ginyu Force corpses. And Vegeta is very annoyed, and he says, "Oh, Goku, you're not a Super Saiyan because you're too weak," and things like that. And Vegeta wants to be immortal, and Vegeta was saying maybe Frieza's already immortal, but then Krillin says the sky's not dark, so the Dragon Balls haven't been used. So that means Frieza's not immortal, so he can be defeated. And Vegeta's just realised that Jace has come back with Ginyu, so a fight will probably happen. In the meantime, Gohan and Krillin are going to try and get Dende so they can get the Dragon Balls, because they can use Dende's Namekian language to resurrect the heroes with Porunga. And anyway, yep, Jace and Ginyu are here, and they're going to do some damage to Goku. So we go with Gohan and Krillin, and they go to Frieza's ship to find the Dragon Balls. But where can the Dragon Balls possibly be? Well, let's have a think. It's probably going to be in some recently dug up dirt, and it's near the ship, so it's over here. So that's where the Dragon Balls are. So now we can try to summon the dragon, although we don't, because Vegeta's there, and we get interrupted by the arrival of two strange people. Great dragon, grant my wishes. But it doesn't work because you can't do it in English language, you have to use Namekian. Anyway, in the meantime, Goku and Jace are back, but Goku's wearing a scouter. So why is he wearing a scouter? Krillin says he looks strange, and then Gohan says that isn't my father, because he's acting all weird. And in the meantime, Krillin wonders if he's been hypnotized, but Goku appears in Ginyu's body and says that Ginyu took his body, because he uses the body swap move, or body change. In the meantime, they have to try and beat Goku. Well, they have to beat Ginyu, who's in Goku's body. You can see how this gets confusing. So anyway, I will continue the video next time, as we'll be fighting against Ginyu Goku, or Ginyu in Goku's body. Thanks for watching. See you next time.